Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So one of the biggest reasons Playwright tests fail is the misunderstanding of the timeouts. Many of you might be using the timeouts, but most of the people doesn't know which one to use and when to use. If you don't know about these timeouts properly, so what happens is that it makes your test slow and unreliable. So in this tutorial, I will guide you step by step about the timeouts and which one you should use and when. So let's begin. First, let's understand what is timeout. The timeout is basically a maximum amount of time Playwright waits before throwing an error. So when we talk about the Playwright waits for the element to exist in the DOM, be visible, be enabled, be stable. So if these conditions aren't met within the timeout period, so for example, there's a timeout period of 1 minute, and if these conditions are not getting met, then in that particular case, the test fails with a timeout error. Now let's talk about the different categories of the timeout. So when we talk about the different categories, so usually there are 6 categories, but the common ones are test timeout, action timeout, navigation timeout, expect timeout. So these are the common ones. So when we talk about the test timeout, so basically this is the entire test execution. So you created a test, so it has multiple steps. You're going to the login page, providing username, password, clicking on the login button, and then you are verifying that user is successfully logged in and the dashboard appeared. Now this is your complete test. Now, when we talk about the test timeout, so it's basically implemented on the test level. Then we have an action timeout. Now, action timeout, basically whenever you perform any kind of action, like you're clicking on a button, you are filling an input field, you are checking a checkbox, right? So these are all the actions. So this action timeout basically work on this action level. Third is navigation timeout. Now, when you go to a particular page, like using go to or reload or back, basically you're playing around with the navigation. And here, this navigation timeout comes in. For example, there's a specific time limit. Maybe assume that's 1 minute, and page is not getting loaded in a 1 minute. Then after that, the playwright will throw a error. Then finally we have expect timeout. So as automation tester, what we do is that we actually assert or verify the different things, right? So here, this particular timeout is basically related to the assertions and to be visible. If particular element is not visible or assertion, and for that particular assertion, then it will time out. For example, the timeout is 10 seconds. If this not happens in 10 seconds, then the test will fail out. Now let's talk about more about the test timeout. This is the high level around the different categories. Now let's talk about the test timeout. Now, when we talk about the test timeout, so basically it controls how long the entire test can run. So your test, if you're using the Playwright Python, so what happens is that you have written a test function, so it will go to a page. So this particularly a complete test. Now this test timeout will be implemented on this one, and the default timeout for this particular test to complete is 30 seconds. Okay, but what you can do is that you can override for one test. For example, there is one test which needs to take maybe a 60 seconds or 2 minutes. For that, you need to change. So how you can change or override the timeout? So basically what you need to do is that you need to use a pytest mark.timeout, and you need to provide the amount in seconds. So 60 means 60 seconds. Now this particular test will take 60 seconds for the timeout instead of 30 seconds. Now here we are talking about the default and for the specific test, and test will override this. Okay. Then the third thing is that you can set it globally in pytest.ini file. So it will apply the same timeout to every test in the suite. So you can set this to 60 seconds. Now this will be applicable to this every test in the suite. So that's how this test timeout works. Now let's talk about the action timeout over here. So action timeout basically controls how long a single action waits before failing. Now we have different actions like click, fill, check, select options, right? Now what happens is that you can override this one using this one, like timeout equals to 10,000. So 10,000 means that we are saying that for this particular click, and you see that it's written inside this click. This means that we are focusing on this action only. So it will wait up to 10 seconds before failing. And again, you can set it globally, set on the page fixture, every action inherited. So for example, what it means is that you can create a page fixture and page has a different actions. Now every action will inherit this particular timeout. So in case you have a scenario, you can go in this way. Now let's talk about the navigation timeout. Now navigation timeout controls how long page navigation can take before failing. So usually we have our methods like page.goto, page reload, page go back, go forward, and here again you need to provide the timeout. So it's a pre-called wait, and it will wait up to 20 seconds because it's defined under the goto. So goto is basically for navigation. You can also set it globally in your contest.py as a fixture. So basically what happens is that you can set the default navigation timeout. Now this is a global wait. This will be applicable across every navigation. So you need to be very wise when you need to implement the timeouts. Where exactly you need to implement. Either you need to implement on the navigation, either you need to go for the global configuration, either you need to go for the action, right? Or go for the test. So based on your application, nature of the scenarios, you need to configure these timeouts properly. Otherwise, it will take a lot of time in executions. It will be a flaky test. So you need to be very careful. So you need to understand about these different timeouts. Now let's talk about the expect timeout. So basically, when we talk about the expect timeout, so it controls how long assertions retry before failing. So basically, default value is 5 seconds. Okay. So for this particular assertion, it will wait for the 5 seconds. If this particular locator is not visible, then it will throw a assertion error. Okay. And the second one is a custom one. So for example, there is some specific element for that you need a more time, which should not be a 5 seconds, which is the default one. Then you can define the custom one. And again, this needs to be defined inside this particular assertion method. So timeout equals to 10,000, which means that 10 seconds. Again, what happens is that it depends totally on your scenario. Either you can go with the default, you can define for the custom, because in some cases there are some elements which are taking more time than the default. So you need to wait there, right? Then we have a global, which is default. And again, you can set like this, expect.set underscore options and timeout equals to 10. Now how it works, basically Playwright retries the assertion in the loop. It will keep going in the loop until the assertion passes or the timeout expires. So this is the timeout we are talking about. Default is 5 seconds. Here is custom one, 10 seconds. So it will keep checking, keep trying. So until the assertion passes or the timeout expires. So if this timeout expires, means that if it takes more than 5 seconds, it will fail. Okay. Now there's some page level defaults. Let's talk about those things now. Now, basically what happens is that you can set the timeouts for a specific page object. So it's really handy for the slow pages. So set default timeout, then set default navigation timeout. Now, sets the default for the most actions on the page. So most actions, not a specific action. We're talking about actions. So page dot set as a default timeout 15. So you can define in this way. So it will wait up to 15 seconds for the most actions. Then we have sets the default for the navigation calls only. For the navigation calls, because when you load a page, there are so many navigations happening. You're sending a call to the server, receiving a call or response from the server, right? So you can set up here. So navigation commands waits up to 20 seconds on the page level, right? We are talking about the page dot, right? So page level defaults override the global config, but lose to pre-call overrides. So this is, you need to understand. Page level defaults override the global configuration. So if there's a global configuration, it will override on the page level, right? Now let's talk about the wait for timeout, which is very common and you might have seen people using it. So let's talk about that now. So basically, the wait for timeout is a trap, a common beginner habit that quietly destroyed the test suite. So what happens is that as a beginner, you might be using page dot. You're asking page on the page level again. Wait for timeout 5 seconds. So wait exactly 5 seconds, even if ready in 1 second. That's the problem. Like, you are waiting for the 5 seconds, but page loads in maybe 1 second. The elements loads in 2 seconds. You don't need to wait for the 5 seconds. But in this case, it will, in any way, it will wait for the 5 seconds. Now, what happens if you're using this too much? So basically, it's wastes of time waiting after the page is ready. Sometimes 5 seconds isn't enough on a slow CI box, right? So in some cases, 5 seconds are not enough. You need more time. So that needs to be dynamic. That shouldn't be a static value. Okay? Then it masks the real timing issues instead of fixing of them. So if there are any really timing issues, some scenarios are taking more than expected time, the performance issues, you can also cover those if you are using the proper timeouts. Now, let me show you a very good example side by side. What are the bad and what are the good timeouts when you are working with the Playwright? So if we are using page.go to this and then page.wait for timeout, the page.locator.click. Now, this is a bad example of using a timeout. The good way is that you can go in this way. So it uses the auto waiting because you are using in this way. Expect page.locator in this way, not page.locator, not this way. Now, because we know that they are default timeouts, we are not giving a custom here. So this way, you can write a good scripts which uses the capabilities of Playwright, which is auto waiting. Now, let's talk about the timeout hierarchy. This is also one of the things which you need to understand. So basically, on the top level is a timeout, which is test timeout, and it's the outer boundary and caps the complete test. Now, test has some actions, test has some navigations, test has some verifications. Now, so this falls under this one. This falls under this one. Like this test timeout is the outer boundary. Under this, we have action, navigation, and expect timeout. Okay. Now, there's some precedence which timeout will be used if you are using the multiple. What happens in this case, right? If you're using multiple. Okay. So let me show you the precedence letter in this case. So basically, if you are using like this way on the action level, so this will win. This will be used. If this is not implemented, then page level will be implemented. If not implemented globally or in the configuration files, then it will go fallback and this is the default one. So this is the precedence letter. If you define on the action level, then action level will have the precedence. If it is defined on the page level, then it's on the second level. So for example, if you have implemented this page level and this as well, so what happens is that this particular timeout will be implemented. This will override. Same goes with the others. So this is the precedence letter you need to remember. Now let me give you a very quick reference for you when you're using the waits. So basically, the test timeout, where to set, basically at pytest.mark.timeout, pytest.ini, default value is 30 seconds. You can use when you have long end-to-end flows because it works on the test level. Then we have an action timeout, like on click or something like that. Then you can also default, or you can define on the page level, page dot set default timeout. And the default is basically a 30 seconds. This is default values are coming from the Playwright. And when to use, when you have a slow rendering elements. So you click on any button. Now it takes a lot of time. It takes maybe 40 minutes, 1 minute to load the elements. So in that case, you go with this one. Then navigation timeouts, again by default is 30 seconds when you have a slow loading pages. Expect timeout, by default it's a 5 seconds, and you should use when async UI assertions. So when there is asyncing happening, you should use this one. So this is on the higher level understanding of, and for your quick reference, that which timeout you should use when you are working with this one. Now, what are the key takeaways from the today's tutorial? So basically, you should stop guessing. You should know when to use which timeout and how it works, which has a precedence, right? You need to understand the hierarchy, like test, action. So under the test, we have action, navigation, expect. Prefer automating sessions over the fixed sleep. Recall timeouts overrides page default overrides config. You need to understand which will override which kind of the timeout. Okay. So these are the basic timeouts, and now I hope that you have a very good understanding of these timeouts. So use these timeouts accordingly in your tests.